Let's get into today's Cowboys Report. Before we dive in, should Darren Woodson make the NFL Hall of Fame? We'll know the answer in a few hours here, depending on when you're watching this, when the NFL announces its class tonight. Should he make it, though? Y for yes, N for no. Let's revisit the Cooper Kupp trade stuff here. Amid reporting that the Rams are open to eating some of Cooper Kupp's contract, let's revisit this idea and if this makes sense for the Cowboys. Now, the money matters here, because the Rams can save 12.5-ish with a trade, 15 with a post-June 1st cut, 7.5 pre-June 1st cut. As it sits right now, a new team owes $20 million in 2025 and a non-guaranteed $19.85 in 2026. Now, Kupp's 2025 contract, that $20 million, breaks down as such. 12.5 base salary, $7.5 million roster bonus, $5 million of which is already guaranteed, has not yet been paid out. So my first question is, what amount are the Rams actually willing to eat? Are they going to eat the $5 million and make it a $14.5 million owed for the Cowboys and Kupp? Or are they going to eat the entire roster bonus and just let a team pay the base salary? Now, Kupp as a $12.5 million rental is more interesting to me and far more than the $20 million price. $20 million is non-negotiable. I'm not paying that. 12.5? Maybe. The reality for Cooper Kupp is he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He hasn't been able to consistently stay on the field and produce even somewhat close to the way he was able to back in 2021. He hasn't been that same guy for 3 years. So I am very curious, how much are they eating? How much am I paying in terms of draft cost? This was Bleacher Report's trade idea. The Cowboys get Cooper Kupp and a 7th in exchange for a 3rd and an unnamed, undescribed, anything. They didn't tell anybody, just conditional pick. Nobody doesn't know what the conditional pick could be because BR's lazy. And they were lazy when they wrote this. We know a few things about the Dallas Cowboys. We know that owner Jerry Jones has never been shy about making splash moves. I am so tired of this lazy narrative around the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, Jerry Jones wants to make a splash. It gets reported every single year. When was the last time they made an actual splash move? Brandon Cooks for a 5th was not a splash move. Taking the best player on the board in CeeDee Lamb was not a splash move. The last real splash move, aggressive move, was Amari Cooper back in 2018. It's a long time ago. They normally do it at wide receiver, but Wildcat and Jerry ain't here no more. So I'm tired of that being the idea. I do find the Athletics trade idea, shout out John Machado, I think his idea is much better. A 5th this year, a 6th next year. Cowboys get Cooper Kupp, and the Rams eat a bunch of the money. That is more feasible for me. Even then, I think there are real arguments that we've mentioned that maybe it doesn't make the most sense. So do you want to trade for Cooper Kupp? Knowing the injuries, the money, all that stuff. T for trade, P for pass. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. We got kicker contract talks here. Brandon Aubrey recently spoke about his contract, saying he is indeed open to getting a new deal and an extension with the Dallas Cowboys, saying, quote, it's up to my agent to go up to the Cowboys, see if there's any interest in signing it early, because he's got a year left on his deal. If an extension comes, the extension comes. If not, I'm still making 10 times what I was making working code, so I'm pretty happy. Classic kicker comment, and, he's making a lot more than he was doing code. I think the obvious comparison here is the Harrison Butker contract. Butker is the highest paid kicker on a 4-year, $25.6 million deal, making $6.4 on average. That's $17.75 million in total guarantees. That's the highest of all kickers out there in total money, APY, and guaranteed. You can expect Brandon Aubrey to beat that contract, whether it's by a little or by a couple $1 million per year. That's fair. That's reasonable. He's our alien. And also worth mentioning that Brandon Aubrey is essentially the same age as Harrison Butker as well. Doesn't feel like that because he got his NFL career start late, but they are the same age. So I think that makes it a pretty easy, 1-to-1 plus some money for Aubrey comparison. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. They got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff. So you don't to only show you incredible deals on great seats. Don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. It is curation to make it easier to find that best price on great seats for comedy, concerts, theater, NHL games. If you want to go to a Mavs game or a different NBA game, I get it. Maybe the Mavs ones aren't as appealing post-Luka trade. Keep an eye out for the super deal. It is the best value for any given event. So go download the Game Time app and always be aware of the Game Time guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find those tickets in the same section and row for less. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price, all guaranteed. Let's get to Emmitt Smith's, I think, kind of surprising and borderline confusing, frankly, comments saying he doesn't want the Cowboys to draft Ashton Jeanty in round 1 out of Boise State. Here's what Emmitt Smith said on Radio Row. Quote, "If Jeanty comes to the Cowboys right now, he's going to get beat up. I don't think we're ready. I don't think we have the right mindset. We don't have the right commitments." I just talked about commitments and being disaligned. I think we're drafting exciting pieces. Fans get, we got Ashton Jeanty. We're going to run the ball now. Okay. Don't say Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdle could not carry that team. No, there was no commitment to run the football. And when there was a commitment, when Dak Prescott went down, Rico ran the ball well. So don't tell me we can't run the football. Honestly, these comments don't really make sense. The first half did. Maybe the first quarter did. And then the arguments laid out kind of didn't actually make a lot of sense to me. I don't really know what Emmitt was trying to argue there. So first, before I go in depth on my issues here, do you want to draft Ashton Jeanty in round 1? Because you're not getting him in round 2, obviously. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Sound off in the comment section of today's show. Look, for starters, I think what Emmitt's trying to lead with, and when he's mentioned the commitments and being aligned and whatnot, I think he's saying he wants to run the ball, which makes sense. Emmitt's a running back. The running backs want to run the football. The receivers want to catch the football. That's how pass football. That's how it works. Nothing wrong with that. But he kind of contradicts himself along the way. He's saying, don't tell me we couldn't run the football. Zeke and Dowdle could do it. But then he's also telling us that you can't draft Jeanty because we can't run the football. That doesn't make any sense to me. You don't think that this Cowboys team is going to commit to the run, but the running back will get banged up in the process. And those don't make sense to me. And by the way, when was the last exciting piece this team drafted? They drafted a left tackle last year, a defensive tackle before that. CeeDee Lamb, which was just the best player on the board, they're not exactly a big, exciting drafting team anymore. I think at the core, what Emmitt's saying is he wants to commit to the ground game. And he doesn't think Dallas would do that. He doesn't want to make Dak do everything, which is okay. That's a fine argument. It's actually a pretty reasonable one. I also think that the Cowboys coaching staff moves do point to a desire to fix the run game. This run game hasn't been good enough. When the Cowboys have needed to run the football in years past, they haven't been able to on a consistent basis. They've had issues. They got to fix that. I think the real lesson you should learn from the Saquon Barkley hit with the Eagles is this. You want to have a great running back. Yeah, you do. That's awesome. You want good players on your team. You need to have a good offensive line. Saquon would not have had the Saquon production this year if he was in New York because that supporting cast wasn't good enough. So if the argument is you want to build out the offensive line first, okay, that's fine. I think that's actually a pretty reasonable argument, which I think you can do this offseason and then still draft Jeanty if you want to. I think a lot of us will get more on board taking it back in round 1 if you address a lot of your other needs beforehand. We are a little over 200 subs away from the 208K mark. Hit that sub button for more free Cowboys videos if you haven't already. More coaching updates for you guys, this time on the defensive line. The Cowboys have hired another coach to reunite with Matt Eberflus. Brian Bing is the new assistant defensive line coach. If you're going, Who is Brian Bing? Congratulations. You are also like me. Even I did not know who that was. Bears assistant defensive line coach this past year was a Tony Dungy fellow for the Colts back in 2023. Wofford defensive line coach before that. Pitt GA, Butler defensive tackle coach, coached some at Kent State. Even had a brief stint as a running backs coach at some lower level like Methodist University in North Carolina. I have no issues here because this is an assistant defensive line coach. I don't think it's really going to matter all that much. This is another guy Eberflus is familiar with. A lot of those guys on the staff so far defensively. Andre Curtis, Dave Borgonzi, Brian Bing, quarterbacks coach, David Overstreet, all come in under Matt Eberflus as the defensive coordinator. Aaron Whitecotton from the Jets is the lone new non-connected hire, but that's a good thing. You want to have a blend of outside hires and guys you are familiar with.